Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got 7 games on Monday to kick off this work week for you guys. We are taking a look at the Kangs in this one. They are playing host to the Memphis Grizzlies. A couple of teams have been playing a lot lately, but should be a good matchup. Definitely game of the night. Also got another game video and our player props up for you, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all of our great written content up there and use our odds finder tool. We go ahead and list out all of the U.S. sportsbooks offerings for you guys. Make sure you're getting the best juice on all those bets you're making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's jump into our game, let's jump into this slate before we get into Kings and Grizz.
Yeah, we open with the Celtics -8 at Orlando. No Marcus Smart, no Malcolm Brogdon. Rob Williams is questionable for Boston. Bucks are -11 at Detroit with Chris Middleton expected to return. Giannis is probable after sitting for 12 days with a sore knee. Minnesota, -5.5 at Houston. Houston has lost 13 straight and still no Kevin Porter Jr. for them. Hawks in a pick'em at the Bulls with a 239 total. The Hornets +8 at Utah, also a 239 total. LaMelo Ball is questionable for that one. The other game we break down is Spurs +8 at Portland with a 241 total. And then this one has the highest total on a high total night, scoring way up in the NBA, 246. Memphis on a back-to-back is -1.5 at Sacramento. And while the Kings are playing their third game in 4 nights, Memphis, of course, played last night, got down by about 30 in Phoenix, and then came all the way back, made it a 2-point game, and in fact, almost had a shot at the buzzer. They stole an inbounds pass, and then somebody just fell down instead of getting that shot off. But, the point is, for our purposes, they snuck under the under. They were going way, way under on Friday in that Lakers game. We absolutely nailed that one. Still snuck under the under, and they've gone under in 6 of their last 9 road games. That 11-game streak where 7 were at home, that's what we were talking about before the Lakers game. Different kind of splits, different kind of vibe for Memphis on the road, including just less efficiency in general on the road, but still in their last 9 road games, I believe the number 1 defensive rating. Certainly number 1 paint points allowed on the season on the road, number 3 in defensive efficiency, 2-point percentage. The concern is that they are 23rd in 3-point D on the road when you face the Kings, right? That's a concern versus 6th at home. But in this matchup against the Kings, they've owned them. They've won 8 of their last 9 against the Kings, and you say, okay, well, this is a different Kings team. Well, in 3 with Sabonis, they've still held them to 33% from 3, still held them to 21 free throw attempts, which is well below the problem area Memphis had. It's kind of why they let the Lakers back in there. And they've held the Kings to 110 points per game, a 109 offensive rating, while winning those games, winning the rebounding battle pretty handily, again, despite Sabonis, who leads the league in rebounding. So in those 9 games against the Kings, holding the Kings at 107. And you look at the back-to-back here, after starting 0-2 on back-to-backs, they've won 4 straight, Josh. They've won, including against Sacramento, their last time they had a back-to-back on New Year's Day. And that was a 118-110 win in Memphis, where they tend to play faster, and it was during this streak. So they continue to go under as a road favorite. They're 16-10 to the under in conference, for what that's worth. But I do like Memphis to win here. And I like them to build on the momentum of that comeback and to attack Sacramento, which just hemorrhages points in the paint the most in the league at home. Just gave up 70 paint points to the Sixers without Harden and Embiid, and got roasted by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in their previous game. So going up against Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, who, by the way, they did not have to worry about the last 2 meetings this season, and he's cooking as well. I think they have a hard time stopping Memphis. And when they're underdogs, they do tend to go under. They also tend to lose 13-8 or 8-13, as underdogs. So I do like Memphis here to carry that momentum forward and win. And if you feel like the 246 is too high, I think you can take the under. It is a bit scary because you never know when with two teams on short rest. Does that mean they're going to play Ole defense, or does that mean they're not going to have their legs and not be able to hit shots?
Yeah, that is a question. I mean, I do like the fact that these teams have gone so far under so often, right? Like in their the last four times that they've played, they haven't come close to this total. So I think there's something to be said for that. Like you mentioned, the last time that they played, love that 108 to 118 total there. I mean, the Grizzlies have been scoring about 119 against the Kings their last four times against them. The Kings haven't been coming along for the ride in a lot of those. And the pace that these teams have been playing at is at about like 100 over the last four times that they've been playing. Pretty much the exact same pace that this Memphis team has been playing at, when they've been going under as of late. So yeah, the points in the paint scares you whenever you talk about Sac playing against a team like Memphis, because that's just, what Memphis is going to do. And it's not like they have a guy backing anyone down with his back to the basket. It's Ja Morant crashing, and it's Jaren Jackson Jr. crashing, Steven Adams getting on the boards there, and even Dylan Brooks getting on the offensive rebounds at times. So they're long. They're very good around the rebound, around the rim on both sides, right? Especially on offense, where they continue to lead the league in things like second chance points, and they continue to get offensive rebounds. So the pace is what I look at. 247 points is just so much, man. And if you're going to play at about the 101 pace that these teams have been going at each other at, then I think there's something to be expected there. I would expect for the Grizzlies, talking about what happens when you're on short rest or no rest, and how does that affect your pace. Well, I mean, they're 2-3, really 2-4 to the under. To the over, right? They've gone under in 4 of 6 on no rest this season, failing to get to the total by about 6 points in each of those on average. So like, there's something to be said for that. I think that is a trend that you can follow for the fact that the way that they play is up and down like that. And at the very least, I would say coming out, they're either not going to have it at the beginning of this one, or they're not going to have it towards the end in terms of legs to continue that pace. And even, Sacramento probably is happy to be playing a little bit slower as well, as they've just been watching guards like SGA and Maxey just blow by them their last 3 games in 4 nights, like you said, after a back-to-back, and really close games, and ones that they've been playing against good teams. That OKC game was super tough for them, for sure, one that I'm sure that they feel like they should have won. But I guess at this point, for me, I'm just relying on what I know about when these two teams match up, and sort of the not only the pace that they play at, but the way that Memphis has been playing defense lately. I mean, over the last 10, they're the second best defense in terms of field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and everything else that they're allowing, in terms of mid-range, and all. If you look at all these sort of heat maps of where teams are scoring on them, it's like pretty much just inconsistent all over the floor. They're not really funneling you anywhere. They're just, every single player locks up, and Ja, maybe not as much, a little bit more of a turnstile, but that's why you have the team that you have around him to continue to beef that up. So 115 points a game that they're giving up in their last 10 or so for Memphis, which is really good right now in an NBA where the lowest total tonight is like 231.5 points, right? Like 247.5 is an absurd total. Just as absurd as that there's 7 games that a total is at least 231 points. And for Memphis, I think that they've been playing defense in a way that if you're limiting 3-point attempts to the way that they have, and limiting free throws, then it's hard to get to 240, 245 totals if you're not getting a ton of easy buckets and stopping the clock essentially. And that's what I would expect for them to continue against the Kings, to keep them from being able to come along for a 247 total.
Yeah, Memphis actually hasn't been limiting free throws, and they've been getting a lot of free throws, at least in this limited sample size. But the Kings are number one limiting free throws in their last 3. So that is the key. While they do give up a ton of paint points, on the flip side of that, at least we won't have a pace where you get those breaks for the free points with the clock stopped if you are taking the under. And the Kings are 14-6 to the under as underdogs here, slight dogs. But again, you come back to how are they playing? Just like I said in the Spurs game, they gone over in 7 straight road games. Kings have gone over in 7 of 8 home games against Houston twice, Lakers, Hawks, Orlando, and then the shorthanded Philly. They go under in that game against SGA and the Thunder, who are 4th in defensive rating, I believe, in the last few weeks. And who's number 1? Memphis. And then Memphis's offense is just not the same on the road. We've seen them come out completely flat against the Lakers and Phoenix in the last 2. And they have a hard time dealing with Phoenix for whatever reason. Like even when they lost to the Suns without Paul or Booker right after Christmas, and so I mean, coming out defensively and struggling against them the way they did, I don't know if that continues because they have defended the Kings very well. Like we're saying, they might struggle in 3-point defense against some teams, but they know how to close out on Sacramento shooters, which are easily identifiable, and I think that helps keep it low scoring.
Right. Yeah. You know who you're scared of shooting the 3 ball for this Kings team. And obviously it's Huerter and Keegan Murray at this point. But I think, De'Aaron Fox has struggled so much. He started okay, continues to struggle so much from deep. Harrison Barnes, inconsistent. I mean, consistently at 15 points, but you don't really know where he's going to necessarily be scoring from. So, yeah, I mean, Malik Monk's been getting more time. I think you'll see him on the floor here a bit more if Sac continues to struggle shooting from deep outside of those few guys. And like I said, Memphis is going to help you do that with their defense. And that's kind of what I'm relying on. Their struggles on the road on offense, the way these teams have played in their pace, and the fact that I think we're getting a little bit of overvalue on this total just because of who these teams have been, or specifically who the Kings have been playing lately, which is all of the teams that are at the bottom of the league in defense and top in pace. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also got our player props video up for you today. So until we see you next, happy betting.